Good morning. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is Wednesday, August 7th. I will note for the record that we are all present in the Nat U Hill room today, and we will begin with our public statement read by Commissioner Jones.
We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC.
Great, thank you so much. Next, we have our department updates, and we'll see if Ms. Kelly is joining us or someone from the health department this morning.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. So just a few updates for you. Emergency room visits for COVID-like illnesses have not increased as of July 30th, but our wastewater detections have seen increases, so we do know that COVID is circulating in the area. The health department does still have free COVID tests available. You can walk in Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. And vaccines are available through the public health clinic located at 333 Miller Drive in Bloomington. You can call 812-353-3244 for an appointment.
All right, thank you so very much. And let's see if we have any questions for you from the board. Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Githens? I don't either. I assume you're going to give us information about the vaccine as soon as we have it.
Yes, I had a call just yesterday, and the state is still waiting for information on a date of when to expect those. So hopefully more information to come soon.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Any other departments have an update for us today? You can come to the podium or raise your hand on Teams. All right. I don't see any. Okay. So now we will move on to public comment. This is for items that are not on our agenda. Each commenter is limited to 3 minutes. And please state your name and your county of residence. And you may either come to the podium in the Nat U Hill room, or you may raise your hand on Teams to be recognized. Okay, I don't see any. So we will move on to our next item, which is approval of the minutes.
I move approval of the minutes from July 31st, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, corrections, or edits? Okay.
Fair stuff.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Freeman. All those in favor of approving the minutes for July 31st, 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. All right, we'll move on to our next item, please. Thank you.
Move approval of the claims docket, accounts payable August 7th, 2024, and payroll August 9th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Ms. Gallardo from the auditor's office. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name. Okay.
The accounts payable claims docket for August 7th, 2024 totals $2,335,405.97. This includes all emergency claims and adjustments. The payroll docket for August 9th, 2024 includes $1,549,692.58 in direct costs, and the remaining $661,544.01 were for indirect costs, for a grand total of $2,211,236.59.
Great. Thank you so much. Comments or questions? Commissioner Githens?
We've been pushing to get decisions made about funding for a new jail and justice complex. And as I was going through the claims this week, I started adding things up, and between the jail and the justice building itself, just in claims this week, just 1 week, and this is not the things like food for people who are incarcerated, this is not clothing, this is really just upkeep of that building. And it does not take into account what we pay for the maintenance staff that's there. Over $12,000 in 1 week. So we could easily rack up $500,000 just in general claims in a year, and that's in addition to the $500,000 that we have allocated for new locks. So delay is costly.
Yeah, it's a great point. Thank you. Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Okay. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Please raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. And Nat U. Hill. All right. Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the claims docket accounts payable August 7th, 2024 and payroll August 9th, 2024 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. I will note for the record, we have received a report from the treasurer dated June 2024, and we will now move on to new business.
Got to turn the page, sorry.
Yes.
Move approval of resolution 2024-28, court services surplus property.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Mr. Kreider joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. This request is to accept the declaration of items for surplus. Thank you. From the Monroe County Circuit Court Department, 19 office chairs that have reached their useful life have been replaced with new and will be disposed of as garbage.
All right. Thank you so much. Comments, questions? Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Githens?
Not really, but Mr. Kreider and I were talking earlier that maybe we need to update the forms for this to make it more understandable in terms of which boxes you check. But definitely the value of these is less than what it would cost to auction them off. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we keep that form for the asset management side of what we have to do. And so we could work on that with, I'm sure the group that works on that can consider ways to address the surplus property form. All right. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving resolution 2024-28 signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
move approval of Lentz Paving LLC addendum for paving alleyway. Fund name, cumulative capital, fund number 1138, in an total amount of $55,675.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Kreider.
As a project in the executive summary was completed during the past work week. The alley that runs parallel to the east side of the Charlotte Zitlow Justice Center is the location for emergency services parking, an employee entrance, the Sallyport entrance and exit, jail lobby, shipping and receiving, and a busy pedestrian entry and exit to the employee parking garage. Unfortunately, this important stretch of asphalt was only scheduled for pothole patching in 2024. Due to past intrusive work and the overall nature of its use and circumstances involving timing and equipment led to this additional project being executed. The asphalt crew was here and we had them for a brief window of time. This request is to approve an addendum to the original agreement submitted by Lentz Paving LLC, which was to mill and pave the north-south alley between the Curry Building and Monroe County Employee Parking Garage in the amount of $18,875 to add milling and paving to the connecting north-south alley located between the Charlotte Zitlow Justice Center and the Monroe County Employee Garage in the amount of $36,800 for a total of $55,675 to improve services on this high-foot traffic area.
Thank you so much. Comments, questions? Commissioner Githens.
I know that there were problems also with drainage in that area, so hopefully it takes care of that too.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes, I just happened to drive by that this morning, and it looks a whole lot more appealing than it had.
It looks great.
It does.
This has been needed for quite some time. So thank you for getting this done, and while the crews are there, getting this additional work done. Makes a lot of sense. All right, thank you. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Lentz Paving LLC addendum for paving the alleyway signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of Pointer Sheet Metal Service Agreement for the Justice Building, fund name, GO bond, fund number 4815, in an amount of $978.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Kreider.
On Thursday, August 1st, building maintenance found that stormwater flowing down the west side of the Charlotte Zitlow Justice Center was entering the building under the receiving doors. This request is to approve a proposal submitted by Pointer Sheet Metal in the amount of $978 to fabricate and install a rain hood above the receiving area entry doors to direct the water away from the building.
All right, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
Yes, this is more of the constant repairs that Commissioner Githens was just talking about.
Absolutely. Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, I was thinking, what is wrong with my mic today? Sorry. I was just thinking exactly the same thing, that how would Angie Purdy describe it? Maybe better not say that. Okay, but it's necessary. I mean, not doing it will cost us a whole lot more.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for paying attention to this. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Pointer Sheet Metal Service Agreement for the Justice Building signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Kreider.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item, please.
In trouble today, sorry. Move approval of DLT Solutions Autodesk Civil 3D Renewal, fund names, County General and Surveyor's Corner Perpetuation, fund numbers 1138 and 1202, in an amount of $8,557.16. And I will note for the record that this is for a 3-year quote.
Second.
We have a motion.
Ahead of time, sorry, it's been a headache. So the Autodesk Civil 3D program has been in use by our surveyor's office for over a decade. They use it for their computer-assisted drafting, and it also pulls data from their field equipment and puts that into the system as well. Historically, this has always been a 1-year contract. There was no other offering besides that, but this year Autodesk has offered a 3-year contract, which does afford us a small discount of just over $400 over the life of that agreement. So I spoke with the surveyor. He's agreed to pick up years 2 and 3 of the contract if I cover 1. So but this request is to approve the 3-year term for a grand total of $8,557.16. I would like to note that in the agenda item presented to the public. It has us down as pulling that out of county general. That's actually coming out of Cume Gap
yeah.
for software. So
Okay.
that was a error in that posting.
Right. I was just going to ask about that 1138. Okay, great. Thank you. Got the right phone number. All right, comments, questions. Commissioner Gissens.
No, makes sense to do it this way.
Commissioner Jones. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the DLT Solutions Autodesk Civil 3D renewal signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item, please.
Move approval of ordinance 2024-32, amending Monroe County Code, Chapter 440, Animal Management Regulations, and Chapter 441, Animal Management License Fees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we have Mr. Schilling. Mr. Schilling joining us. Tell us all about it, please.
Definitions of horse show and dog show to the animal management ordinance and to establish a $100 fee for those events. Attorney Justin Roddy presented this to the Animal Management Commission during their last meeting, and they're in favor of it.
Okay, thank you so much. Comments, questions? Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Gissens?
Where do these shows occur? Oh, that's what I thought. Okay.
All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving ordinance 2024-32 signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of Eubanks and Associates PLLC retainer agreement regarding Houston South project.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Schilling.
Thank you very much. This is relating to the Houston South project. The U.S. Forest Service's logging and burning and forest management project down in Jackson County, which we believe will have an impact on Lake Monroe. And so we've been involved in litigation with the Forest Service for a couple of years now. And in response to that, they produced a supplemental environmental assessment. And they're on the verge, we believe, of getting ready to finalize that. And the position that the county has taken all along is that a more rigorous study and environmental impact statement is required under NEPA. And so if the Forest Service finalizes their supplemental environmental assessment, we will, with the signing of this agreement, we will have counsel in place to challenge that immediately. And so we've used the firm of Eubanks and Associates to great success over the last couple of years. And so we just want to have them waiting in case we need them. That's what this agreement would do.
Great. Thank you so much. Comments, questions? Commissioner Gissens?
While we have all been following this pretty closely, I don't think the general public has in the same way. And this group is being retained because we want to make sure that we protect the watershed for Lake Monroe, which is the water that most of us within the county drink. So that's why we are pursuing this.
Commissioner Jones, comments, questions?
No, I'm just very pleased that we're going to continue to pursue this along with the partners that we've had all along.
Yeah, and the Eubanks firm has done an amazing job. They've been really good partners in this, so I'm really happy to support this. Thank you. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. All right, Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the retainer agreement for Houston South project for Eubanks and Associates signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, sir. All right, next item, please.
Move approval of ordinance 2024-29, State Road 45 Convenience Mart rezone.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Myers.
Thank you. So let me share my screen here. One moment. All right, can you hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so this is ordinance 2024-29, also known as REZ-24-2. It is a rezone request on property addressed 4646 West State Road 45. It is in Van Buren Township, Section 14. The owner has changed, as you see on the screen. It was owned by Donald Funkhauser, and now it is owned by Hyrie Inc., who is the company that owns it, and the petitioner is Rajesh Patel with representation from Mike Carmen. It's 4.1 acres, and the request is to rezone the property from general business, from a split zone of limited business and general business to general business. The purpose of this rezone request is to provide the right zoning district for a mixed use classification on the property. Initially, that use was identified as commercial/industrial adaptive reuse, which would allow a convenience store, park and recreation services, and an office land use all in the same property. Now, the convenience store does allow for gasoline sales, so the petitioner is interested in constructing a gas station with convenience store there. Park and recreation services, that was the use that planning staff assigned to the petitioner's request for a arcade that will be housed in an existing utility structure on the property, or excuse me, an accessory structure on the property. And the office will be located in a pre-existing home that is vacant currently, and that will be converted into an office use. Originally, the petitioner had interest in maintaining it as a residence. However, incorporating a residence and these additional commercial uses on one property, the only way forward through that would have been a planned unit development, not a rezone. So the petitioner did not want to seek a land unit development, so they talked with us at the planning department about their alternative options, and one of those being a mixed use land use classification of commercial/industrial adaptive reuse. That particular use is only permitted in the general business district, so there cannot be a split zoning on the property, hence why this request is before you. If approved by the Board of Commissioners, the petitioner will submit a commercial site plan filing to be reviewed administratively by staff. If denied, the petitioner will not be able to operate the property under the commercial industrial adaptive reuse classification or another mixed use classification because that's only permitted in the general business zone. The draft county development ordinance map, the CDO map, does show this property transitioning into general business, the GB zone, once that gets adopted, whenever that happens. We're at a timeline thing here where the petitioner wants to get started on this project, but the CDO is already showing that the entirety of the property will be ultimately zoned general business, as this request is stating. I will note on July 30th, 2024, the City of Bloomington Utility Service Board upheld a denial of a requested sewer connection by the petitioner. So that is one aspect that that was related to the continuance of this case onto today's agenda because staff wanted some time to review that and provide some updates and what that looked like for the petitioner and their plans for developing the site. On this screen, I included several definitions of the uses that we've been talking about. Convenience store at the top there, park and recreation services, office, and commercial industrial adaptive reuse. I also included business or industrial center here. Business or industrial center is another mixed use classification that could be utilized on the property to incorporate the three types of uses the property owner is seeking. That is the convenience store, gas station, the arcade, and the office space. Both of these on the screen here, these are the mixed use classifications, and they are subject to different conditions. Commercial / industrial adaptive reuse is subject to condition 22 and 56. 56 being rather lengthy, and you will note 56D here, sewer service must be present and available to serve the site. There is a distinction between the two of these within the definitions, but planning staff feels that either one of these land use classifications could be utilized by the petitioner to establish the multiple uses that they want on this one property, should it be zoned general business. 56 is only, like I said, only applies for commercial industrial adaptive reuse. There's those items there on the screen, A through G. And then G also has subheadings as well, 1 through 9, 2 of them having to be incorporated into the plan, at least 2, I should say. So these are all in Chapter 802, the conditions section for the permitted uses. So these things will come up with the planning department's administrative review of the property, should it be rezoned general business, and the petitioner submit a commercial site plan filing. Here we have the location map. It's at the corner of West Airport Road and West State Road 45. On the right side of the screen, we have the current zoning map. You'll note that the split zoning occurs in the southern portion of the property. The light pink is the limited business, and the red is general business. Here's the site conditions map. There are a few slopes that are above 15%, a possible karst feature or sinkhole on the northwest corner of the property. Sanitary pipe is located just north of the property, and water pipe does come through the property as well, as noted on the map. There are multiple driveway entrances currently. There's 2 coming off of West State Road 45. Those will be managed or approved by NDOT because it is their right of way with the state road there. But the highway department has provided some comments regarding the entrance of West Airport Road, also with respect to this possible sinkhole feature or karst feature here. So a right-of-way activity permit will be necessary when they get to the commercial development, commercial site plan portion of this project with respect to this entrance to West Airport Road. This is an older aerial map. You'll note that there was a prior accessory use on the site that was unpermitted and actually was going through an enforcement case for the sale of mini barns that was not permitted on the site. Those have since been removed from this particular petition site. Here we have some aerial imagery. And then some imagery on the ground. There's the existing residence. And just some pictures here of the site. In the background of the bottom right photograph is the accessory structure where the petitioner plans to incorporate the arcade under the Parks and Recreation Services use. More pictures of that structure here. And then I've included a snippet of the County Development Ordinance map, the draft map. So you will note that it does plan to fully incorporate the general business zone here. On the screen now is a conceptual site plan that was developed by the petitioner. You'll note the driveway change up here, the proposed gas station convenience store located in the center of the property, and then the proposed accessory or other uses on the site, including the arcade. on the west side, and then the proposed office inside the existing residence. Here we have the letter to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I will note that the letter does talk about a property at a different address, 4806 West State Road 45. That is not involved in this rezone request. That is just a property that was also purchased by the petitioner at the same time from the Funkhausers. It comes up in this letter as just a notice, I believe, that other properties were purchased, but it is not part of this rezone request. It is only 4646 West State Road 45. We did receive some letters of opposition. These came to the planning department before or at the time of the Plan Commission hearing, which was in June. So there were a number of residents that were concerned about a gas station being proposed here. However, technically speaking, even with the split zoning, the general business portion of the site where the petitioner is planning to put the gas station is already permitted by right. So what I mean by that is today they could file a commercial site plan filing for just the convenience store / gas station. And if they meet all the conditions or requirements and get an approved site plan, then they will be allowed to get building permits for that structure. So there's no need to change the zoning for the convenience store and gas station. It's more about the mixed use that the petitioner is wanting that's triggering the rezone now today. So I'm going to continue clicking through some of these letters that the planning department received stating concerns from the residents in the area. We can come back to these as well if needed. Okay, that brings me to the recommendation for this petition. Planning staff provided a positive recommendation to the Plan Commission during their regular session on June 18th, 2024, and the Planning Commission voted 7-0 to forward the petition with a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners with no conditions of approval subject to Highway and MS4 coordinator reports. And I can confirm that it was a 7-0 vote. Mr. Enright Randolph had left the meeting. I believe on the agenda request form, I listed 8-0 because there originally were 8 members present, but there was only 7 members present to vote on this. I'll now take any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Myers. We'll first see if we have questions from the board for you. Commissioner Githens.
As some of the permitting goes forward, I guess I'd really like to make sure that we don't have a lot of additional impervious surfaces that go into this. I am concerned about the karst feature that's there and how that drains into underground stuff that we don't even see. And then I've emailed Drew about this, but Mr. Myers, rather. I wonder about the septic. I know that commercial septic is available, but I don't know if the petitioners have pursued this to ensure that it would be sufficient not only for the gas station and convenience store, but also for some kind of arcade / entertainment center along with any kind of office building.
All right.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Myers.
Yes, I was just going to note that although I can't speak to the engineering of a commercial septic system on the site, I do know that some properties are able to incorporate that as a way around having to connect to sewer. But I would have to defer to the health department or other professionals to evaluate if one or maybe multiple commercial septic systems would be needed. And as regard to impervious surface, that would be something that comes up with the stormwater and the storm division and the stormwater ordinance. They do have strong language now about impervious surface coverage, as well as buffering that existing karst feature on the property.
Okay. Commissioner Jones, do you have any questions for Mr. Myers?
My question might be better for the petitioner. I don't have much knowledge about arcades. I'm just wondering who they perceive as using it. I mean, I suppose people getting gas maybe, but...
I can at least answer that partially. In my conversations with the petitioner, they've stated that they just wanted it to have a more community feel. So it's not necessarily strictly for the patrons of the convenience store and gas station, but also a community destination for the residents in the area and the community at large.
I see, thank you.
And we can ask Mr. Carmen to address that more when his time is up. Yep, thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's quite all right. So I guess I just need a little bit of clarity, Mr. Myers, since the adaptive reuse requires sewer connection. How is it possible to continue this item without sewer connection? Can you explain that again?
Yes, so as you'll note on the screen, we have these two separate land use classifications that are both a mixed use option. Originally, given the adaptive reuse of the site of existing structures, through the use determination process, the planning department showed or indicated to the petitioner that commercial/industrial adaptive reuse was an option for them. But as you'll note, on condition 56, there are these conditions here, and one of those is sewer service must be present and available to serve the site. Now, it's my understanding that many of these conditions are eligible for a variance, a design standards variance to the Board of Zoning Appeals. That is another process they'd have to go through to get that approval. So that is one option moving forward. Another option is going with business or industrial center outright. So that is still a mixed use classification that is suitable for the property, and the petitioner could pursue under that classification. And that is not subject to condition 56, which requires a sewer connection. This is one of the uses that staff revisited after the Utility Service Board decision about denying the appeal for sewer connection.
Okay. Okay. And the other concern I will address with the petitioner. So thank you. But stand by and we'll go ahead and hear from the petitioner. The petitioner's representative is here, Mr. Carmen. So you have 15 minutes to share any information you'd like, and we probably have questions for you after that. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
My name is Mike Carmen, representing the petitioner, and I can't see who's on Zoom, so Rajesh Patel of Harry Inc. is petitioner, and he should be logged on, so at least he intended to be, so there may be a question or something that he needs to respond to more appropriately. I want to touch on the arcade question first, and I'm going to come back to the sewer then. The arcade use is a possible use. It's not firm that it would be done, but it was a commercial use that could be done, that the structure could be adapted to use. It thought it would be an attractive use on a low level, because it's not a large facility to do that in. When you consider the location of this property, I mean, how far do you have to go to find a recreational activity use opportunity that's fairly simple and fairly easy to get to, doesn't generate a lot of traffic? So that was just an anticipated possible redevelopment or conversion use of that existing structure to make use of it in that manner, and consistent then with the zoning. So I want to get back to sewer. You know, this is a difficult issue to talk about. First of all, the development, the issue of sewer and septic, or the appropriateness of septic and how that design and the requirements to meet the concerns, as you've already expressed, for the activities that will be done there, is a development plan issue. It's not a zoning issue. And in part, generally that's true, but it's particularly true in this case because the zoning issue in many respects has already been answered by your proposed zoning map and the zoning ordinance. It really is not adopted yet, and there may be amendments and changes to the map, maybe changes to some of the text and development standards and uses in different zones. But by and large, and after a 5-year process, we're now on the eve. I think you had your admin committee meeting just last night to try to push that issue forward finally. We may see some actual get to an end product here in the foreseeable future to have that new zoning ordinance. But that GB zone is in that, and it has been, and without controversy. But here's the real problem I have. I mean, and development plan issues don't go away. That will be, whether it's drainage, karst features, pervious surface, all those issues will be addressed as part of a development plan that has to be submitted for review and approval in the event. So the septic and the appropriateness of the design of the septic is an issue yet to be determined. Petitioner is confident that that can be done, which is why I'm moving forward. Now, it's going to be a while getting to that stage of development, and not actually giving up yet on sewer extension, but you know, I have to say it took a big hit with the recent USB decision denying the appeal on that denial to request the extension of sewer. And while it's not, in one sense, maybe not germane to this petition, but I'm just going to go public on this. I don't know about anybody else, but we all ought to be offended, as I am and have been now for about 3 years, of the city holding property and county residents in hostage over sewer. Sewer should never become a political football, but it did. And that was done by Mayor Hamilton. And it could be, now I know ultimately it became a vote of the USB, but there's absolutely no doubt, there is no ambiguity on what took place when this then existing USB rule regulation required the waiver of protest of annexation as a condition of extending sewer. And there's no doubt that what happened with Mayor Hamilton when he got his nose out of joint of the continuing annexation remonstrance and battles, that he went to Director Kelson and made his desires pretty well known, and that ultimately ended up in the USB vote to amend the rules to prohibit extension of sewer service outside the corporate limits with left a couple of caveats, and there are possibilities of director authorizing under certain circumstances, and then appealed that decision, which is what we went through very recently. But the bottom line is that the city, through the USB, has turned sewer on its head if we believe that sewer is a public health issue in compared to septic. Then we've made public health a political football, and that's wrong. And I don't know why there's not more outrage being expressed about that. I've talked to council people about it. I've talked to utilities department people about it, and I get nothing. I tried twice to get on the Mayor's Thompson's agenda to have a discussion with her about it, and she doesn't have the time to talk about it, and she's talked to other people about the issue, so she's well aware of it. I challenged her in a public meeting about that and got rebuffed. So this is not going to go away. Honestly, if sewer becomes an issue on this zoning petition, you need to stop the UDO or the CDO process in its tracks, because you cannot adopt that zoning map and all the zones that are in that if we're going to allow that zoning decision to be held hostage by the city's use of sewer as political football. And this is actually, that situation actually worse. Now at the USB meeting, they're now talking about, well, maybe we don't have capacity. Maybe we can't extend sewer out there because we have some concerns about capacity. And I understand there's a huge budget issue for deferred and unplanned and unfunded maintenance and repairs and upgrades that are badly needed. And there is a huge financial issue there. But if they're now saying that extension of sewer is a concern about capacity, then they need to go back and undo every annexation orders they have on the table that we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigation fees, both sides, because they now can't even comply with the fiscal plan that they adopted in support of each of those annexation territories. Because that fiscal plan called for the extension utility services in accordance with the normal rules and as applied to every other Bloomington residential property. And so I'm sorry, I'm getting way out of control here, and I will. This is an unbelievable misuse of authority, and I don't know what you can do about it, but this issue has to be raised. Because the alternative is, it's a 5-year answer, but you get into the sewer business. Mm-hmm. You've got to divorce yourself from the city. If they can get away with using sewer as a leverage point and hold it hostage, then you actually have to divorce from them, and that means a separate corporation. There are private sewer corporations out there that are extending territories and providing sewer services. They're just not in this area yet, and given our terrain and topography, it's going to be very difficult to get one sewer plant because too many ravines, too many changes in grade to be able to get to it without a huge investment in multiple lift stations, all sorts of, there are practical problems. But that's, so the reason I'm going into that detail is I want to emphasize that that's another reason why sewer cannot become a condition of approval of your zoning decisions. Sewer and septic become a development plan issue. They already are. They will remain a development plan issue, mm-hmm. but it should not be an issue on the zoning classification. Mm-hmm. I would ask you to approve the petition.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's see if we have questions for you before you step away. Commissioner Jones, comments or questions?
No, I appreciate your comments.
Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, you're singing to the choir with regards to sewer. You're singing to the choir with regards to sewer extensions here. Well, I think that the current position does inhibit certain growth and other things in terms of affordable housing and a lot of things. So, yes. Yeah. You actually addressed the question that I had. So I appreciate that. But I will add, I didn't stop you. I know you went off track. I didn't stop you because I could have and I didn't. But you're right about a lot of this, but I will say that I think, it's an interesting idea to consider to delay approval and completion of the CDO. But at this point, there's this optimism that I have. I don't know where I get it from sometimes because everything around me tells me I shouldn't be, but I feel like something's going to give and something's going to change, and we need to be ready. When that happens, we need to have a plan in place. And my understanding was that the Utilities Service Board was approving commercial sewer connections, but apparently not. And that surprised me when I saw that.
They have on at least one I'm aware of fairly recently, and I know there's some other appeals requested. Rule 24 lists several factors to consideration on the appeal of a denial of extension of sewer, one of which is the planned use, residential or commercial. It doesn't say what they do with that information, but it is a question being asked, and all indications are they will at least consider an extension of on commercial property. The suggestion is there's no chance on residential, but that's trying to read between the lines of what's being done instead. But yes, there's been a fairly recent appeal, I believe, that was granted on a commercial property.
Right. And that is an interesting issue regarding capacity, because that is something that I'd heard before, that they were limited sewer capacity was limited, and then I was told, oh, no, they've got plenty of capacity. So that's an interesting thing to hear. So I appreciate the information and the insight. But back to our petition. Let's see. Let's go ahead and see. You're going to have the opportunity to come back. Let's see. Is the petitioner present on Teams? I don't have the list in front of me. Oh, there it is up there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I do not see the petitioner in the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go ahead and hear from the public. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. We ask that you state your name and your county of residence. First, we will hear from those who are in support of the petition. Please come to the podium in Nat U Hill or raise your hand on Teams to speak in favor of this petition. Anyone who is opposed to this petition, please come to the podium in Nat U Hill or raise your hand to speak in opposition to this petition. Okay, does anyone have any general comment that they would like to make? Okay. Come back to the board. Well, we'll come back to the petitioner again if you have anything else you wanted to add in, the last 30 seconds of.
Just an apology for getting carried away. So.
No apology necessary. All right. Let's hear comments from the board. Commissioner Jones, comments or?
Yes. I actually heard from a constituent in that area who pointed out that there's a bit of a food desert there. And the convenience store would actually help somewhat with that. Since it's going to be zoned general business anyway, or at least that seems very likely, to deny this at this point doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. But I certainly do hope that the Stormwater Department will keep close track of how the development occurs.
Okay. Commissioner Gissens, comments?
Yes, I agree with Commissioner Jones about keeping a close eye on stormwater issues, especially with the karst feature that's potentially out there. I also heard from someone who was excited about this because of the proximity to Karst Farm Park and making especially ice available for use at the park when different activities are going on out there. So I know that there are some people who are in favor of this. I did receive another email from someone who is opposed to it. So trying to balance both sides here.
Yeah. I take very seriously the residents who have taken the time to issue their concerns about this development. And I definitely understand their concerns. Having a gas station so close to their residents raises issues for them. It obviously changes the traffic pattern in the area. It is a big change from what is there now. But the issue is that where they intend to place the gas pumps is already zoned appropriately. So it doesn't really, there's nothing we could do at this point to stop that from happening. So I would ask that those residents stay informed and keep their eyes open for discussions at the Drainage Board, for example, because this petition will come before the Drainage Board, and the questions regarding the issue of the karst feature and having a gas station on State Road 45 may be addressed then. But I do understand their concerns, but our hands are tied. And I'm not sure that, and I hope that, Mr. Myers, I hope that you let the folks know who did send in information and did issue concerns about this development. I hope you will let them know that there is nothing we can do that the if it is appropriate based on all of our building codes and drainage requirements, that this gas station will happen because it is already in a general business zone. I would appreciate if you would send that information on to those folks. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Are we ready to take a vote on this?
Ready?
All right. All those in favor of approving ordinance 2024-29 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. We do have one appointment today.
Yes, I wish to, I move to appoint Serena Pettijohn to the Parks and Recreation Board, the Monroe County Parks and Recreation Board. This is to fill the remainder of a 4-year term that will end January 1st of 2027. No one can truly replace Phil Cornwall, but we're pleased to have identified a successor.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. There we go. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor of approving Ms. Pettijohn for this position signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Just have a few quick announcements today. Just a reminder that we are looking for applicants for the Redevelopment Commission. You may go to co.monroe.in.us and fill out an application. We're also accepting applications for all of our boards and commissions at this time. We do continue to have virtual office hours via Teams each month. There are 6 different time slots each month. Go to the calendar at co.monroe.in.us for dates and times. Click on the link and you'll be speaking with one of us directly. We look forward to the conversations. The next dates for the blood drive at Ivy Tech at Shreve Hall are Wednesday, August 28th from 1 to 6 and Thursday, August 29th, 10 a.m. to 3. You can go to redcross.org for more information or to make an appointment. We do encourage our residents to sign up for our resident alert notification system for weather and health-related emergencies and updates. You can click on the megaphone on our homepage, co.monroe.in.us. We have extended and continued our work on rural housing repairs. So for residents who are owner-occupiers of their homes outside the city of Bloomington, outside the town of Ellettsville, you are invited to apply for funding if you're low or moderate income and you need assistance with basic repairs on your residence. It could be plumbing, it could be electrical, it could be carpentry, roofing, windows. Contact your township trustee for more information and to apply. And if you live in Perry Township outside the city, we ask that you contact the Commissioner's office directly and apply that way. Anything else for the good of the order?
Not right now.
Okay. Great. We do have a work session agenda item, so can we come back at 11:15 for that? Is that okay? Great. We will come back at 11:15 for the work session. Our next meeting is Wednesday, August 14th, I believe. And we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.